Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin, now Griffy D-Pad, and with me as always is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing tonight?
No blue sky today, Griffin. Everything is shovels in the ground, pens to paper.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Animators doing animation things.
Of course, folks, it's, Mitch, did something important happen? I don't think anything important recently happened.
It's our favorite time of the year. It is Disney Christmas. It is finding out how Disney is going to take all of my money over the next decade and a half.
Oh, yeah, that's right, folks. D23 just happened. Announcements just happened, and we're here to talk about all of them. Just kidding. We're only talking about the parks.
Mostly just the park stuff.
We're really just talking about the parks.
They announced some Disney Plus stuff. We'll talk about those when they come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them soon.
Honestly, we were talking beforehand on the show, before we were recording, and you're like, all of the trailers and stuff that we would want to talk about are stuff that wasn't, like, officially released to non-members, like, physically there. It was all stuff that we have seen through leaks and whatnot, and honestly, that stuff is just way more fun to talk about when we have, like, decent footage we can show.
They got okay. Here, we're gonna speed round it. First thing that comes to your mind, Griffin. I'm just gonna go through all the announcements from the main panel that are new information, and we'll go from there. Avatar 3 now. Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Who cares? I don't like Avatar.
Dream Productions new Disney Plus series taking place between Inside Out 1 and 2. It is based off the dreams being made in Riley's brain.
I feel like you've brought this up so that you could say that you were right and I was wrong.
Mitch was right. Win or Lose release date December 6, 2024.
Woo.
It is Pixar's first original movie.
Okay, like this show.
I thought it was a show.
It is a show.
Turns out-
It is a show.
Are you sure? Because
It is an original series.
Kotaku says original movie.
That is a typo. It is absolutely an original series.
Perfect. Toy Story 5 teased. It's going to be about electronics and evil Buzz.
Can we just stop?
Incredibles 3 in production.
Awesome. I always love more Incredibles.
Will it make it into Kingdom Hearts 4?
No, because other Pixar products should.
Okay, Frozen 3 concept art. It'll come out eventually. There's already plans for Frozen 4.
Okay, for real though, the Frozen concept art, I love this art style.
It's really dope. I love it. So at the holidays, we usually put something on the TV, like a fireplace or whatever. They have a Frozen fireplace for Frozen 2 for this style, and I love it. I put it on every year. Skeleton Crew teaser, December 3rd, Disney Plus.
Captain EO is canon to Star Wars, and I love that.
Andor Season 2 is happening.
We knew that.
Even though we knew that.
Okay,
Grogu movie.
I saw the leak. It looks like more Mando and Grogu.
Ironheart teaser, still no release date.
Give me a goddamn trailer.
Daredevil Born Again lands March 2025, Season 2 in production.
Same sentiment.
Agatha's still coming out.
I'm still super excited for that show.
We saw the first live-action Stitch from the Lilo and Stitch movie.
You know what? I don't hate it as much as I thought I would, but I still wish it didn't exist on principle.
Tron, it's happening. Nine Inch Nails is doing a thing.
Nine Inch Nails is an awesome choice for the soundtrack. It's still so disappointing to me that Jared Leto was the star of this movie.
The only thing games related, they're doing Marvel stuff in Fortnite, obviously.
Yeah, they also are adding
Disney and
villains.
Star Wars and everything.
They're adding Disney villains and the Incredibles to Fortnite, which feels really weird and predatory, and I hate it.
Yep.
Okay, that's all the other announcements. Funnily enough,
Pretty much.
the game stuff is on the panel we're talking about, because we're going to talk about mostly Horizons, the Disney Experience panel, going through stuff, breaking it down. If you're listening, head on over to the video version, because we were showing a bunch of the concept art that they showed off. If you aren't, head over to the Disney Parks blog. They got a great bunch of write-ups on all of the announcements. Obviously, it's from Disney, so it's like going to be. It's
also, shout out to sources like Blog Disney, Disney Food Blog,
Scott Gustin,
just in general. Scott Gustin, Ashley Carter. Tons of great coverage of this event. I was sitting in my cousin's basement refreshing Twitter because I didn't connect to their Wi-Fi, so I didn't want to use my mobile data to watch the presentation, and I didn't have Fortnite. But it was great. Great coverage for all around.
Yeah, great.
Also,
folks.
our friends over at Geek Centric were there, and I'm infinitely jealous of them.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to go next year. I say that knowing full well we will not be going next year. But
I'm having a child. You think I can get a weekend away to go to a Disney thing without wife and kid? You kind of want to get me murdered.
Fair enough. Let's talk about some announcements.
That means we're bringing the kid. All right, got it.
Starting off right off the bat, this entire presentation was essentially like half concert, half announcements. Like everything had a musical artist attached to it.
Yeah, it was a lot of wish fulfillment on the way that this panel has gone the last 2 or 3 years, I would say. It's mostly ideation. It's blue sky. It's things that concepts they're exploring for the parks. Josh tomorrow starting this the exact way he needed to. Of everything here is pens to paper. Yeah, shovels in dirt. Things are starting. Granted, a lot of this stuff isn't going to be finished until probably 2030. I would assume that everything here is complete in some way by the end of the decade.
Yeah, I would say 2028, 2029 are probably some of the later stuff. Particularly,
I feel like some of the later stuff is
overseas.
going to... Well, I think a lot of it is going to open piecemeal. So similar to what happened with Adventures Campus, where it opened with one attraction, now they're up to 2. We'll talk a little bit more about what they're doing with that, but I do feel like these lands or these experiences they're introducing, it's going to be an experience or 2 within the first year or 2, and then over the following decade, expanding it out to the other experiences they want to add.
Yeah, and there's, for what it's worth, there is still some stuff that's coming this year, next year, and we'll talk about like what's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's reasons to go to the park next year, which is surprising given they didn't announce more because Universal is going to eat their lunch with Epic Universe.
Mm-hmm. But starting right off the bat, the first thing they announced was, hey, guess what? Next year is going to be Disneyland's 70th anniversary. They didn't announce really much alongside of that, but they did announce that it's coming. They're doing stuff. They showed off a logo. It's fun.
There's going to be lots of themed merch that will go to clearance the following January.
But the fun part about this was that John Stamos was on stage singing "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes," and it was really weird and really funny. I don't know why this was a thing, but I love it.
He loves Disney. So
that dude is such a nerd, and I love it so much. But they used this to kind of springboard into the first major announcement, something we knew that was happening already, but it was that Avatar is coming to Disneyland.
Did we know that?
Well, it was one of those things where it's like, we know, but it's not official. Yeah, Avatar will be coming to California Adventure, specifically an area inspired by The Way of Water, as well as Avatar Fire and Ash.
And future films, yeah.
Future films.
My big thing with those parks, where are they going to put this stuff?
Well, so they just signed that land deal with Anaheim.
Oh, this has got to be that then,
so this is
it?
that. That's what the rumor has always been. But we actually got some really interesting art of this. We actually got models at D23 if you were there.
I see more flying stones, which, is really cool in Animal Kingdom, so it'll be great to see more of those come to California Adventure.
I'm really interested in this. Like, it's no secret that we don't love Avatar.
No.
But I do still love the world of Pandora.
We do love Flight of Passage. Navi River Journey as well is a great experience.
Navi River Journey is great. I have my own personal
Also,
beef with Flight of Passage, but that's
it's
more with
a
single cast.
It's tough
member.
for big guys.
Yeah.
It's tough for big guys. But
if you can do, if I can do Tron, I can do Flight of Passage.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you what,
honestly, for me, I think like the world of Avatar in Florida has some of the most interesting food options at Disney as well. I know they didn't talk about much about what would be coming with this, other than the fact that there will be an original attraction, whether or not they figure out or find a way to port Navi River Journey or Flight of Passage. I do think that new attraction.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a lot more like Navi River Journey. We did get some concept art on it, which I think is really interesting. We saw kind of like this journey around some of the animals and stuff around that, and it looked like it was going to be not just like a water ride like River Journey, but there is actually going to be thrills to it, which I thought was interesting.
You know what it's going to be? looking at this concept art now, it clicked in my brain. This is going to be Shanghai's Pirates of the Caribbean. They're going to use that tech here, the eye tracking and everything, where the boat is looking at in perspective.
I hope so.
I think it's either Shanghai or Hong Kong. I'm pretty sure it's Shanghai.
There's one piece of concept art that is like them in like it's almost a swampier area with like a bunch of those like essentially six-legged evil avatar wolves like stalking
the
them.
bad dogs. Yeah.
And I think it could be really interesting for just like what they're going for with this. I'm invested enough to see what this ride is. Like who knows for sure, but
I'm with you. I don't like Avatar, but the attractions at Disney World in Florida are great, so this is definitely something I'm going to wait to do a California trip until this exists.
Oh yeah.
Also, until the kiddo is tall enough to do all the fun stuff.
For me, it's the other big ride that they announced at for California Adventure.
We'll get there.
Which we're there, because the next thing to talk about is that they announced that we are getting...
I thought you were going to talk about Avengers.
Oh, no, we'll get to Avengers. We'll get to Avengers.
This is huge.
Avengers is like a whole thing we'll get to. But no, we're talking about Coco. We're getting a Coco ride.
I'm so ready for this.
I'll tell you what.
So bad.
The way I fucking popped at the announcement for this.
I had to be quiet, but it was because this thing went until like 1 a.m. Eastern time. But
I'm watching mind you, I'm hanging out. I'm watching a bootleg stream of this. Someone with a phone in the crowd at my family's house.
Didn't they stream this on Fortnite?
They streamed the Epic Games portion of it on Streamlight.
Oh, I thought they did the whole thing.
But I'm watching this like on my phone, and these like curtains like come down on the video screen, and the doors open up, and out walks shoot, why can't I never remember his name? Bad guy.
Benjamin Bratt.
Character name of the bad guy for Coco.
Alberto Del Rio. Ernesto De La Cruz.
De La Cruz, thank you. Which is funny because it's on the image that's like right in front of me. But yeah, De La Cruz comes out and sings "Remember Me," and then they show off the imaging for this. This honestly is giving me major Small World vibes.
I was thinking something between Small World and Pirates.
Mm-hmm. But I like that we got these. Like these two big announcements for Rise of California Adventure are both water rides, but they have such different vibes.
I worry with the footprint being what it is in California. Is there a chance? I hope the chance is 0. Is there a chance this takes over either Small World or Pirates? I want to say it's a 0% chance.
No, because this is going to be in California Adventure.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right.
Okay. I would guess that this would be part of Pixar Pier, considering it's a Pixar attraction.
That makes sense.
There's a couple spots on Pixar Pier where there aren't big lines attached.
You have to imagine there's a show building the other side of the park or something, or the other side of the fence.
Well, the other side of the fence, you get far enough over, and the other side of the fence is the hotel. So you do kind of have to be smart with where you put this if you're going to put this on the pier. But either way, or we could just finally get rid of the Monsters Inc. ride that breaks down every time I try to ride it.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was the play. Or the other thing I'm thinking is there's already a water attraction there with not great ridership.
Which one?
The Water Rapids ride.
If you're talking about Grizzly River Run, they are never getting rid of that.
They better. It's really that.
Here's the thing about the Grizzly River Run in like that area. It's vital to California Adventure, and I stand by that.
I understand that, and I agree with that, but it's also a terrible ride.
I'm not disagreeing with that sentiment, but like that. Actually, no, I am disagreeing with that sentiment. I fucking love that ride.
Terrible ride.
No, I love it, but that area is kind of a downtime area for the park.
Yeah, with Soarin' and everything that's over there.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's something we'll probably get into when we talk about the car stuff.
Yeah,
but like definitely. That is such an important thing in that park, for a park where it's like Avengers is very focused on go, go, go. So is Pixar Pier. So is pretty much everything. Cars Land especially. So having that like chill space is like really important.
Also, construction expected to get underway on that attraction in 2026. Again, if we're looking at 3 to 4, when I said 2030 earlier, that was probably really aggressive. I think within the next decade, these things will be open, but it's probably not. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, looking at this one, the estimated time that I was seeing from folks was like 2029 for this.
That seems reasonable, a 3-year development cycle.
Mm-hmm. But like, I'm into it. I love the art. I love Coco.
Oh,
Coco deserves representation in the parks. I hope that, like we mentioned with the technology for Pirates in Shanghai, I actually hope that this is similar. I think that this could really benefit from staying animated and not necessarily doing animatronics. But at the same time, I want to see what Coco animatronics look like so badly.
It's going to be so cool.
Especially when they are skeletons. So you can't necessarily hide all of the robotics behind skin. You gotta really make this bare bones. Wow, no acknowledgement. That's disappointing. Anyways, let's move on. Mitch, we're getting nighttime stuff again.
Yeah, we are across every continent that Disney's on.
Mm-hmm. We got some new announcements across the pond for some stuff in Disneyland Paris. Getting a new show at Adventure Bay. We got a new nighttime show
Adventure
at Tokyo
Bay
Disneyland.
being the new, like it's the the expansion they're doing at, I think it's the Walt Disney Studios Park.
Disneyland Paris.
Both Lion King, like right now they're building World of Frozen that opens in 2026, or no, 2025.
2026.
2026.
And then they're getting the Lion King ride.
Here, another IP expansion in that same area. So this new lake is where they're going to do that nighttime spectacular, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah, it's a perfect spot for that. We also got the announcement for Reach for the Stars, which unfortunately is not the fantastic song from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, but is in fact a new nighttime show at Tokyo Disneyland. Mitch is so disappointed in me right now.
R.I.P. to Paramount TV.
But I think the big thing related to us is that there is a new nighttime parade coming next year in Disney World.
Finally!
Called Disney Starlight.
Finally. World has needed a nighttime parade for so long, and they brought back the electric
Main Street Electro Parade.
Main Street Electric Parade for a short time there, but this is honestly 10 out of 10, no notes, give it to me now.
Yeah, I love the vibes of this. The whole idea of this kind of being around the Blue Fairy specifically, going back into a very classic Disney character for this, but then also bringing to us some of the new stuff. Frozen, but especially the big thing they're highlighting is Encanto.
Which is awesome.
It's perfect. Comes next year.
No notes.
I can't wait to see it. I might actually try to get
Main
down there
Street
to
very
see
busy between the two parades and the fireworks.
Oh yeah,
but whatever.
I'm curious to see where this falls, like schedule wise. But like that's.
I wonder if they do an alternating days kind of thing, or maybe this is more for the summer when there's less fireworks. Maybe. Oh no, that's California. I'm thinking, not Florida.
Now Florida never backs down on the fireworks, but there's also only the one show a night. I could see them doing it afterwards. I could see them doing it.
It'll have to change seasonally, right? Because at time of recording, it's middle of August. It's about 9 o'clock at night in Florida, and it's dark. Yeah. So you have to wait until it's dark at the very least. Mm-hmm. So it'll change depending on time of year for sure.
Yeah, we mentioned it briefly. Next announcement though is that there's the Lion King ride coming to Disneyland Paris. I've been calling this Lion King Splash Mountain.
Just log plume Lion King.
That's what it is.
I do like that they didn't just say, "Hey, we're doing Tiana's in the U.S., so let's just do Tiana's again in Paris." No, they're doing something different. Unfortunately, it does look themed after the live action Lion King, which take it or leave it. They've invested a lot of time and money in that. We didn't even talk about the fact that they dropped another Mufasa trailer because none of us really want that movie. But they're focused there, and it's fine.
I think
as long as they get Donald Glover back, the world can be right.
Okay.
It will just be Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen, or whoever did the French dub, because that's probably more appropriate for Paris.
Fair enough. Let's talk next about probably what, honestly, to me might be the weirdest announcement of the entire showcase.
Weirdest, but also like
I feel really
kind of
weird about
interesting.
this. This feels okay. We'll get into this. Let's talk about the actual official thing. They are bringing a brand new audio animatronic, the first ever audio animatronic of Walt Disney, to Disneyland. They are officially opening up Walt Disney: A Magical Life. That's going to be rotating with great moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's going to be Walt reminiscing about his life in the Main Street Opera House. This just feels really weird, man.
It does, but also as someone who doesn't have an affinity for Abraham Lincoln, not being an American citizen, not being an American patriot, I do like the idea of not focusing as much on the American political history of, in the parks. The parks are a way for me to escape and to go to Florida and see an audio animatronic of the 45th president of the United States. I'm not going to say his name. Is weird.
I'm not going to disagree with
non-American. So I do like that. I do like that this is, something to rotate in, to not always be very, I understand the history of the Abe animatronic, but also this will be an interesting window into the life of Walt Disney and presenting it in a different medium, a medium that he really, was at the forefront of when it debuted at the World's Fair. So it's kind of a full circle moment. For me, I do get that it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's almost poetic in a way.
Oh yeah, for me, there's always been this deification of Walt within Disney fans, and this very much feels along that lines. This is like flirting the line of like, I'm not sure how uncomfortable I feel about this.
Now, was it an uncanny valley feeling, or just like
it's more?
You don't really see the need to continue to deify this guy in a place where we're just like his original vision of the park wasn't about,
I feel like at this
IP,
point,
right? It was about telling a story.
It's not even about IP for me. It's like I don't mind the IP. Weirdly enough, which is funny because I am absolutely the person who would be the one to hate that. For me, it is Disney. For a lot of Disney, yes, there's always going to be Walt's influence upon everything. But so many of the best ideas from Disney, very frankly now, never involved Walt. For me, Walt being a actual physical presence now in the park, there's something about that just feels creepy. To both to the human being that was Walt Disney, to the fans who idolize this man, something about that just feels weird. And it's not something I can fully.
Given his ties to the Nazi Party as well, there is not a great. You can say that about most of the American presidents in the Hall of Presidents in Florida, but there are reasons to not.
Hall of Presidents is in California too, I think.
No, isn't it just
no, they got rid of
Great
that.
Moments with Mr. Lincoln?
No, Great Moments with Lincoln's in the Opera House. It's on Main Street.
Whatever. Either way, it does feel kind of weird from that perspective. Also, this is going to seem weird, but how is having an attraction based around this persona, this historical figure, I think is a reasonable assumption to make, compared to the statues. Right, there are statues of him in almost every park except Epcot got a Roy statue, but every other park has a Walt statue, right?
Yeah, everyone has the Walt statue. For me, there's also the added aspect of this of what are they using for the audio.
Yeah.
If they are just using one of his old recordings, that's one thing. If it's
You're worried they're going to get into Gen AI.
Yeah.
Building a Gen AI persona of Walt so they can produce original dialogue or update the dialogue with stuff that was never actually. Yeah. Thankfully, when they, in the presentation, they said they had Disney family members come through and see what they were working on. And I imagine that the Walt Disney Corporation doesn't own the rights to Walt Disney's likeness. I'd imagine the family does. I would have to sign off on any of this. Yeah. So presumably they're not needing for a huge bucket of cash, so they could probably push back against things that either they find offensive to his memory or, most people would find offensive to his memory.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just snippets from the television program they had when they were building Disneyland.
Wonderful World of Disney.
Yeah. No, I'm wearing a World Color shirt. Obviously, we don't know what it's going to be yet. We will figure that out later. I could talk about the weirdness of this for a while, so we're just gonna keep rolling.
TLDR, it's weird. We'll see what happens.
The next one is kind of a quick bit. Zootopia Better Together is coming out next year, next winter.
Rest in peace. It's tough to be a bug.
Good riddance.
I have an affinity for that show. Like, seeing that show as a kid, I really, really loved it. I would have loved to have taken my kids to see it. But at the same time, this is going to be way better.
So you also wanted to traumatize your children with the
1,000%. If I had to go through it, so did they.
It was weird, man. I don't know why we let that happen, but
it was terrifying. I loved it. I am glad that I got to ride it or see that show one last time with my mom on my last trip. Because she had a lot of nostalgia for that too. She's disappointed that this is happening, but at the same time, it's overdue.
When we were there, we were in Animal Kingdom earlier this year. My brother and I looked at each other, and both just went, "Nah," and moved on.
There was no wait. There's no wait. It's on your way out of the park. Just stop in for the nostalgia.
Well, I know what we did is we went over to the lounge and hung out there instead. And I'll tell you what, that place is amazing.
We also did that.
I love that place so much. Yeah. Speaking of Animal Kingdom, though, let's talk about one of the big ones.
Oh, boy.
It is official. The Tropical Americas will be replacing Dinoland USA. Pueblo Esperanza will be opening at some point. Going through phased creation, there's going to be two major attractions, along with some restaurants, a carousel, and some just general, hopefully, what's the word I'm looking for? General attractions and knowledge and whatnot about the Tropical Americas. But I think the big thing here is probably to talk about is the attractions themselves. Because IP is in Animal Kingdom.
IP has been in Animal Kingdom for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
IP has been in this part of the park for a very long time.
Bye-bye, dinosaur.
Bye-bye, dinosaur. Bye-bye, Bug's Life.
I love dinosaur. But...
Indiana Jones, baby. Let's hope it has a better track record than the one in California.
Yeah, looking overall at the part at this area, I really like the design that they've given us. It looks.
The existing Dinoland USA does feel tacky, in that it does feel like that was a Michael Eisner era Disney decision of carnival games and all of this stuff, and you see some of that still with Pixar Pier on the West Coast. So I do like the idea that I'm going to go back in there. Pueblo Esperanza is drawing inspiration from a specific region of the world, as opposed to just being like, nah, kids like dinosaurs. We came out with a dinosaur movie, and here's some carnival attractions about dinosaurs that you can pay a bunch of money on top of the already expensive Disney World ticket to play. That'll work, right? And it clearly didn't. And this is clear for me. This is a step in the right direction.
The theming for Dinoland USA was fun, and it was really interesting if you are the person to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But guess what, folks? Most people are not.
This is the part of the park everyone skips.
Yeah, unless you love dinosaurs.
And it will no longer be that case once you've got, themed lands.
One of the biggest IPs that Disney has, and then also Indiana Jones.
I was going to say, and probably the biggest new IP they've put out in the last 5 years in Kanto.
Yeah,
and Kanto attraction.
We'll jump to that in just a second, but I want to highlight the carousel before we really jump into that.
Oh, yes.
Because I really love the idea of this, the whole area just in general, the arch and leading in and having it be this kind of almost bizarre area going in at first very much fits with the rest of it. But this carousel, I think, is kind of going to be one of the major ways it stands apart from the other areas, other than, of course, different cultures. It being both a
different
very
dining
much,
options and stuff like that too. You'd hope.
yeah, like the carousel very much being a Disney thing, but also being its own thing, like kind of back and forth. I like that the carousel is Disney animals specifically. Did you get to see the one that they were showing off at D23?
No,
Any
just the
pictures of
one
it?
that's in this article that you sent me.
So
I'll go see if I
you
can find
look it
some.
up, it is a rendition of Kevin from Up.
I need it.
It's adorable, but like I think they're really going to have fun with this space, and I'm excited to see what the space turns into.
Oh my
Especially
god,
with
Kevin,
the,
I love it.
I'm curious what the potential for this area will be at night as well.
Well,
Considering
that's the thing about Animal Kingdom. It is not a full day park anymore. It hasn't been for a very long time. Like they close
Avatar
it
did a little
before
bit
they close
before.
it before the bioluminescence in Pandora even lights up.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they continue with that or if they do try to make some efforts there. But yeah, let's talk about Encanto in Indy. Encanto looking awesome.
You imagine that's going to be some sort of trackless dark ride akin to like Remy's.
I think the interesting thing here of like keeping it related. First off, just Casita de Madrigal looking perfect.
On point.
I cannot wait to see this physically.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
But the actual ride
I mean,
being in
just make sure that when you do, you take the time because we're all going to be rushing to get through that 75-minute queue. But take a minute and just kind of appreciate what they've brought into the real world.
oh come on,
Or
you
do
know
it after you get off the ride, whatever floats your boat.
75-minute queue. You know full well that's going to be a virtual queue.
Only for the first 4.5 years.
But no, I love that the story of it is going to be in Antonio's room, being in the rainforest. Like that just it makes sense for Animal Kingdom. There we go. There's the words I'm looking for. Like
You can have some original musical numbers in there. You can have the queue be going through the rest of the casita before getting to Antonio's room. I think what they're going to tell here is going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see it.
my hope here is that they focus it more on the animals than they do the people.
Yeah.
And I'm
that won't happen, but
And I'm interested to see how they balance animated animals in Animal Kingdom.
yeah.
From there,
You got to imagine it's going to be something akin to like Mickey and Minnie's where there's like a 2D, 3D element to it.
yeah, probably. I could see them doing something like that, or doing something similar to like Finding Nemo.
Or even like I'm thinking like the newer Beauty and the Beast dark ride in Paris, or the Frozen one that's opening up in Asia, or maybe that's Paris too. I don't know. There's a lot of Paris happening.
Yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines of the Finding Nemo ride going into the seas, where it's like flat wall and video on the screen, but also there is theming around the
There's
wall, so it
other
doesn't just
things
look
to it.
like a wall.
Yeah, that might be tough if they're like it's easy enough to do in an aquarium where you can kind of not force, but like there is a good chance that there are going to be real creatures there. A little more challenging to do in Animal Kingdom if you get on this ride at 3 p.m. and everything's asleep.
Oh yeah, I'm interested to see what they pull off. I'm super excited though for Indy.
As long as they can keep it up and running, because I know that's been a hard thing to do in California.
Like this whole like Mayan temple look and like
I'm glad they're doing a new story and a new theme and not just saying, hey, we're taking what is in California and just porting it 1-to-1 to world. That would have been fine. This is way better.
I have been like scouring over this art to figure out like anything and everything I can about it. I am 90% sure I know what the mythical creature is going to be. I am pretty sure I am calling my shot here years before this gets released. I am calling my shot that the mythical creature here will be a Quetzalcoatl.
I was going to say Chupacabra, so I think you're probably closer than I am.
Either way, I love Indy. Indy just makes sense in adventure or in Animal Kingdom.
Dinosaur, for as fun of an attraction as that is like dinosaurs and IP is not timeless in the way that Indiana Jones is.
Yeah.
Or Encanto. Or even to this point, maybe Zootopia. Though I can understand why they're making these updates to the park, especially with it being the 4th most attended park in Florida.
Yeah, like
they need something to pull people away from Avatar.
I don't think we will ever get another Indiana Jones movie. But
I don't doubt
even
it.
still, I still think that it's relevant.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on, we got a fast track of a couple of different announcements. Quickly, the two quick ones here are we do have a couple of new lounges opening up.
These look cool.
Cool. We got one based off of Spaceship Earth, which like the concept art for it is fun. Like we all love the globe.
They're gonna sell fireworks viewing parties in that restaurant. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm. I think the cooler one though is the Pirates Lounge, the Pirates Tavern.
I'm so ready for this.
In Magic Kingdom.
Both opening next year.
Yeah, both next year. So coming soon. Next thing, Test Track will be reopening next year. And importantly, they're redoing that cover for it. Thank God. It needed it so badly.
Definitely.
I was so was so happy I was able to ride Test Track before it closed.
I didn't, but I'm also not disappointed that I didn't.
So we just happened to be there like right before they were shutting it down, so we got to ride it the second to last day. Mm-hmm. We knew full well not to go anywhere near it on its last day because that would be all we did that suicide day. So, yeah. I know what the next announcement is for us to talk about, Mitch.
Oh,
and I'm not sure I'm ready, like, mentally to have this conversation.
Well, we need to be because it's going one of two ways.
Yeah. Or, well, one of three, I would say.
Yeah, the third would be everybody's happy, and that's never going to be the way Disney does.
Well, no, I think that's more likely than one of the other ones. Let's talk about it.
Let's just do it.
Mitch, we were pitched an idea 20 years ago.
Yes, we were.
20 years ago. We're wild shit. Wild shit. We were pitched the idea of a Monsters, Inc. attraction. And we're getting a Monsters, Inc. attraction now. But we're not just getting a Monsters, Inc. attraction. We're getting a Monsters, Inc. land. The concept art for this is downright freaking awesome. Monsters, Inc., personally, one of my favorite Pixar franchises.
Definitely top 5.
It is super fun. We're going to actually be going into Monstropolis. In the concept art, we see the Laugh Factory. We see Harryhausen's. These are humans in
the monster
world.
And they're not going to be a fan of that.
We see some fun stuff in the concept art in particular. I want to quickly shout out, there are CDA agents, which, God, I hope there are CDA agents roaming like there are
like stormtroopers?
No, like the Green Army Men in Toy Story. I hope they have a show. I just want a CDA show because I don't know what that would be.
It'd be 2319.
But we also see some other stuff, like we see like a slide for Sully. We'll see if that actually happens. Harryhausen's like making a lot of appearances in this concept art for some reason.
I have longed for there to be a sushi restaurant at Disney in the parks. Is it finally happening?
There is one in Epcot.
I know, but it's expensive.
It's also apparently really nice.
It is. I know. I want to go, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gone yet.
Yeah. But Harryhausen's, if we can go eat at Harryhausen's, I'm going to be pretty happy.
Mm-hmm. But this concept art looking fantastic. That's not the right.
Mike Wazowski nowhere to be seen. I would have loved to have him to see him having been like stuck behind a tree or something.
Yeah, I love that. Like Mike pops up twice in like the main concept art, but it's not Mike. It's a backpack of Mike and like a Mike plushie. And if you look on the right side of the concept art, you can see Mike Wazowski getting Mike Wazowski'd by some fruit signs. It's not actually Mike.
There?
Yeah, look at the right side of the like where it's like
I
mango,
see it.
Blood oranges, mango fruit right there.
Yeah, no, I see it. I just don't see Mike.
Yeah, right behind that. It's not actually Mike, but it's like an image of Mike. Anyways, this image is causing some pain for us. Because the question, of course, is where the hell are they going to put this?
Yeah.
I don't want them to get rid of Muppets.
I know, but it's the area that makes the most sense. It's already themed after a city. They probably wouldn't have to do too much.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It makes logical sense for them to get rid of that.
You've already got a restaurant in there, so you just have to retheme the restaurant. Mm-hmm. The one challenge there, and this is why I think it's actually going somewhere else, is the attraction they announced. Disney World's first the first ever suspended coaster in a Disney park.
I don't think it's going to be that much because they released a model for this at D23. And it's a box. It is not a complex shape that you have to fit into some area. It is just a box.
No, I know, but to find a box of that size, I honestly think this may spell the end of Rock and Roller Coaster.
I don't think so. I think Rock and Roller Coaster.
I hope not. But that would also make a lot of sense if you have this show building to repurpose.
I would tell you, first off, you're insane for saying Rock and Roller Coaster. I think I think Rock and Roller Coaster is the least likely place for this to go. I think it is significantly more likely that this either takes over the Muppets space or this gets rid of Star Wars docking bay in the animation courtyard. Disney Junior has to stay.
Or move. You can move that.
Well, no, that building has to stay. That building is attached to the Brown Derby, and is also the location of Club 33 in Hollywood Studios. So it can't really go anywhere. But like docking bay is triple redundancy of Star Wars in Hollywood Studios, like.
Especially with Galaxy's Edge being open now.
We've got Galaxy's Edge, which is open now. We've got Star Tours, which they're constantly making new updates for, which I did not think would be the case when Galaxy's Edge opened.
Well, especially with the announcement we got here for new Galaxy's Edge stuff that we might talk about.
We haven't talked about it yet, but we'll get to it. It's like
it is. Really I was just seeing if it was in this article you shared with me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. But yeah, like having that over there, because like those both take up significant areas, are big. Like Star Tours has the big AT-AT, and Galaxy's Edge is Galaxy's Edge. Like this other area, while it does have some fun stuff in it, doesn't make a ton of sense.
It's a dead area of the park, and if they can reuse that space for this, more power to them.
Also, frankly, it was way more interesting when they had the animation, when they had the drawing classes there for animation.
Exactly. When there was an actual, the thing is, like, they had an actual functioning production studio here. And if this goes into the animation courtyard, you can now reuse a lot of that space for this. It's where you can put the show building, or where you can put the ride building for Monsters, Inc. It's where you can, expand and get Harryhausen's in there. Whatever shopping you want to put in there.
Yeah, now obviously
it probably makes the most sense to go in there, to be honest.
There are those rumors going around right now that they were originally going to announce during the show that it was going to take over Monsters, or that Monsters Inc. was going to take over Muppets.
There was a last minute shift in what concept art was actually revealed, and as we got, I think on Sunday or Monday, the reveal of where Cars Land was going to go in Magic Kingdom, which we'll talk about in a minute. I would have assumed a very similar announcement for this had that been where they wanted to go. If they had that concept art ready to go, they would have said it. But I think they've seen the sentiment, and I don't expect shovels in the ground on this one anytime soon. There's a few other projects I think will take priority in Florida before this starts construction. So
yeah, there's a level of looking at this concept art of I'm not sure how much of this really was a last minute change, but you can tell looking at the concept art of like looking at the overarching big one of the space versus the just general vibes one. They look like they are testing out what could go where. And that's why I do think Animation Pavilion makes the most sense. Obviously we will see what happens there.
We both have a great affinity for the Muppets. I mean, we talked about Muppets Mayhem. Great show. You all should go watch it because we're not getting nearly enough Muppets content because you're not watching it. Go watch it. And that show is really great. And they just did a whole bunch of renos to it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just kill it now. But they have the data, we don't. So if they see a reason that it's not pulling people into that part of the park, then
I think
maybe that ends up being the right place.
The big damning thing for the Muppets, I think, is location and space.
Yeah.
Like, love the Muppets, but looking at the Muppets area, it's got three things. It's got Muppet Vision 3D, which is fantastic and amazing and wonderful, and like it was the last thing Jim Henson ever worked on.
10 out of 10, no notes. It's perfect.
Great. Then you have a bathroom. And you have Mama Melrose, which if we're...
and Pizza Rizzo.
Yeah. Pizza Rizzo, my favorite theme for a restaurant, but it is not good pizza. Let's be honest. It's not a great restaurant. And Mama Melrose
there really isn't good pizza in Disney World unless you go to Epcot.
Epcot, or honestly, best pizza I've ever had in Disney is on the boardwalk, just outside of Epcot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Mama Melrose is fine. It's not amazing. It is nowhere near the other dining options in the parks in Hollywood Studios, in my opinion. Plus, there is a giant gift shop in there that's just not open more often than not.
There's also like a Christmas store in there, isn't there? Or am I misremembering?
There is a Christmas store in Magic Kingdom.
I know there's one in Epcot, but I maybe that was when I was a kid.
I think they have like some Christmas props like near one of the entrances. But it's right where you get let out of Muppets. There's this big gift shop that is just closed. It has not been open in forever. They occasionally open for seasonal events. Like that area does make sense as well. I am just
a lot of the infrastructure they would need for what they bring to this land is already there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also thinking proximity to Toy Story Land, because I feel like they're going to want an entrance from one into the other.
Yeah, I think you can find an entrance. I can't think of the layout off the top of my head, but honestly,
I'm pulling up a map now.
One of the other areas I was thinking of was the Pixar area, just the general Pixar area where there was
where there's Cookie Num Nums.
The Cookie Num Nums, but there's also the meet and greets with Incredibles characters.
Okay, so that's the thing. There is that wall at the end of Pixar Plaza, and there's just a bunch of space that just exists in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. So if you had a way to put Monsters Inc. in there and have it connect out into Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, like here, I'll send you the
it would be great, but I know the little chunk of space you're talking about. Okay. Trust me, I spent like most of my Monday just like staring at a map of Hollywood Studios. But I also wonder how much of that is just backstage.
Yeah, you could also do it from the animation courtyard if you built in behind, and then found a way to route over behind the Woody Toy Story Land sign into the entrance of
you could put it right next
the rodeo barbecue.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Or they could turn it and go in front of the Woody. Weird to talk about a giant Woody in the park.
Then you're going out and then back. I don't know.
Hey, they've done weirder stuff. Have you seen some of the walkways around Animal Kingdom?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this is. As far as the actual ride goes, the ride looks so cool, man.
So I don't love suspended coasters, mostly due to the fact that the head restraints usually lead to concussion-like symptoms in a lot of people. I don't expect this to be overly exerting when it comes to the G-forces. It's probably going to be more kid-friendly suspended coaster, but it'll be fine for families.
I am hoping that this is a quick one. I love the actual cart design for these, especially with them using like the laugh canisters
and the doors.
Mm-hmm. The whole idea of like being picked up and put down and thrown around with the claws and whatnot. And I'm saying like they're going to do all of it. We'll see how they do. But yeah, like one of my favorite coasters ever is a hanging coaster. Like one of my favorite coasters ever is the Hulk over at Universal, and that is hanging. It makes that ride better.
I will say I'm probably more biased against suspended coasters. My home park, Canada's Wonderland, has a suspended coaster. It was originally called Top Gun because Paramount originally owned Canada's Wonderland. There you go, a little fun fact for you. We had a whole bunch of movie-themed attractions that all got renamed when it was acquired by Cedar Fair. Now Six Flags Cedar Fair. Opening North America's first launch coaster, or the launch coaster with the most inversions in North America. So that'll be fun next year. But yeah, and I know I'm just saying that. So Griffin will come to Canada. But
Hadestown did not come up to Canada, but roller coasters will.
I know they will. Yeah, so that coaster is notorious for just being very rough. And for that reason, I don't love the idea of a suspended coaster, but I'm ready for Disney to prove me wrong. And that the premise, like that being prefaced with, I've never been on Hulk, never been to Islands of Adventure. So.
Hulk is simultaneously the most jerky and smoothest roller coaster ever.
Mostly probably because of the track redo they did a decade.
I read it before the track redo, and the track redo was more recent than that. But it's jerky because it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Because
it's the Hulk. Like, the Hulk is not a calm creature. There's a reason it's a roller coaster. Anyways, I have no good transition out of that.
Fine, we can move on.
Let's talk about Cars. We're getting 2 Cars attractions in Magic Kingdom in Frontierland. Kind of based around...
Did you just call it Frontierland?
That's what they called it. That was their joke.
Frontierland.
Yeah, Frontierland.
It's a stupid joke.
Trust me, this is a joke taken directly from the D23 stage, my friend.
Doesn't make it any less stupid.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. Yeah, we're getting a kind of a rally race, geysers, rocky terrain, mud holes, waterfalls, the whole jazz from Cars. Getting out of Radiator Springs. Some of the concept art for this honestly looks really cool.
It's very original, and I like the idea of taking an IP and putting an original spin on it.
It gives me a lot of the
vibe.
vibe.
What happened with Galaxy's Edge, and eventually they just brought everything together and didn't care. So
it gives me a lot of the vibe of the Cars show,
like the Cars universe, or like Cars on the Road.
Yeah.
Of
like, hey,
I thought you were going to say planes.
God no. Although I love planes. Specifically, I love Planes, Fire, and Rescue because of the song they have in it. It is a banger. But I think that the big thing here is, like, I went from so high on this, potentially, to so low on this.
Because of what followed a couple of days later?
Yeah, like, I love the idea of this stuff, and, like, it very much gave the vibe of, like, it being able to fill kind of a similar role to what we were talking about earlier with Grizzly River Run. Of giving us this downtime area park section for the park. And it does still very much give that vibe. The ride, while it does look really fun, and we don't know what the second attraction is going to be, it does kind of fit that.
I can imagine it being a reskin of one
Western
of the
Mountains.
small attractions in Cars Land in California.
Yeah, I really think this could be a lot of things. But then there is the announcement about where it's going to be, that it's going to take over.
Well, also, the construction will start early 2025, meaning that if you want to experience either of the things you're about to talk about, hope you've already got a trip booked.
Yeah, the Rivers of America are going away. Rivers gone. Tom Sawyer Island, gone. The Liberty Bell, gone. It is not surviving. It is getting taken over for this Cars area. This concept art came out, and I really had to do a double take on it. I was like, okay, so that's where the mountain is. Oh, wait, no, that's where Tiana's Bayou is. Oh, that's where this is going. Like,
right there.
The big lake is, like, I love that lake. It's one of the few, like, natural wonder areas in Magic Kingdom.
It's a great downtime attraction.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I am one of the few people that actually likes going over to Tom Sawyer Island.
You're a weirdo. Okay, got it.
Hey, it's not like it's not a must-do, but it's still fun, and it's honestly some great shaded spots.
It would have been nice to do with a kiddo, I think. What I will say to this, I don't have as much affinity for either of these attractions as you do, but knowing what affinity is out there for this area of the park, if this is going in there, this better bring it.
Oh, yeah.
It has to bring it. It cannot be a half measure. This needs to be, I would argue, the most popular area of the park for this to be a reasonable change for them to make in Magic Kingdom.
Especially with where this is going to go with villains coming afterwards.
Yes.
Like, not only does this have to be a very popular place to make it worth it for what it's getting rid of. It's also got to be a popular place for what's coming after. Absolutely going to be dwarfing
it's got to be. It's got to be able to pull people away from. I mean, our
Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
I was going to say Mine Train, but also Peter Pan's Flight, even though that's more so a ride load rate issue than it is an actual attraction issue. But there is definitely a need for those attractions for Tron whenever that goes out of virtual queue, which it's still virtual queue, right?
It's still virtual queue, yes.
So we need things in this park to pull people away from other things. And this has to do a good job not only of pulling people away from existing attractions, but to your point, when new things open up behind it, those can't be the 300-minute waits. These have to pull some of those people away from that.
Yeah, obviously we don't know what's coming over there. And there's an entire second attraction here that we know nothing about.
We only know it's going to be kid-friendly.
And potentially more. Like, this is a lot of space. They could put something else in there, like a quick service or something.
Or kids' playground sort of thing, like the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse or something to that extent.
See, I'm thinking something a little bit more like the fountains over in
like a splash pad.
Yeah, like I could see them doing.
But do you need two of those in the same park though?
Absolutely, those are wonderful and amazing, and also horrible and the worst thing ever.
I mean, if there are geysers on this attraction, I could very much see there being some sort of water area that could be fun.
Yeah, but I do love the theming of this. I'm a sucker for anything that looks like the Northwest. So, also, frankly, it is technically frontier in an area that isn't always considered frontier. So, it's something where it's like this. I definitely think this fits in Frontierland. I can see why they put this here rather than like taking out the annoyance that is Autopia.
Yeah.
I'm shocked, frankly, though, also that we didn't get any announcements for Tomorrowland.
So my theory is that all of this is happening on that side of the park, and that I don't know how they're going to do it while they also simultaneously keep open Space Mountain and Tron, but you have to imagine that Tomorrowland is next on the docket.
I mean, theoretically, you can open up the backside
from. Yeah,
and you can keep those open. You can also even keep open Buzz Lightyear. I'm just gonna call it Astro Blasters. It's Astro Blasters. You can keep all that open.
Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin.
It's Astro Blasters.
Ranger Spin.
Look, I know that, but it's Astro Blasters. Just like Rise of the Resistance is not Rise of the Resistance. It's Star Wars. Moving on, I'm interested to see the car stuff, but I am very concerned about them getting rid of like these major things.
It's got to hit. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Is if you're going to take these things out, it's got to hit.
Moving right along,
especially since all of this construction is going to mean the train is going to be shut down again for probably another decade.
Yeah, that train. As long as that train reopens, we're good.
It has to.
At the same time, it's kind of hilarious to think that the train at some point on one side will see like the wonders of the frontier, and then on the other side we'll just see this desolate landscape for villains.
Honestly, I think that's going to be kind of great.
Yeah, I love it.
We'll get there.
Moving along, an announcement that frankly most people do not care about.
I kind of care about this.
I love this, but
I love cruises. I've never been on a Disney cruise. Look, I do see one in my future.
After the year that was 2020, you cannot get me on a cruise ship again.
That's also very true.
But yeah, the Disney Cruise Line.
I'm also trying to get over a cold right now, and it's not going well.
The Disney Cruise Line is expanding with 4 new ships. Weirdly enough, we talked about like all these musical acts during the presentation. This was announced by Boyz II Men, and I just need to bring that up because it was so ridiculous and I loved it. Yeah, we are getting 4 new ships, expanding the fleet to 13.
A lot of boats.
They also announced 2 of these shows coming. We got some artwork for the Tale of Moana, which will be the flagship show for the Disney Treasure.
Which sets sail next year?
I think so. And then the Disney Destiny, one of the newer ships announced.
I think is the year after.
We'll be offering Disney's Hercules as its show. As As well as they just recently announced that Hercules will be coming to London West End as a proper stage show. It is a great time to be a musical theater nerd.
Okay, so the Disney Treasure will enter service December 21st of this year. And the Disney Destiny will go into service in November of 2025.
There you go.
If this will load, the Treasure will be sailing 7-night Eastern and Western Caribbean itineraries. And the Destiny will be sailing 4- and 5-night cruises from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas and Western Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm surprised that alongside this, they didn't show anything from the new island. But
a lot of construction going on right now.
That's probably taking forever, especially because you have to get everything to the island to build it.
Okay, so the other thing, though, Griffin, and this is the reason why you're going to come on a Disney cruise with me and my family. The dining options on the Disney Treasure.
Is this the one with the Haunted Mansion bar?
No, it might be, but this is the one with the Coco restaurant. And this is the one with the Worlds of Marvel restaurant.
Oh, it's that one. Okay, I'm in.
It's that one. I think this is the one with it has an Aqua Mouse.
They should.
And
I think all of them do
it does have the Haunted Mansion parlor.
Yeah. Have you seen any?
So that's all I'm getting you on this boat. It'll be a short trip, but you will get on this boat.
Have you seen anything from the Haunted Mansion parlor?
It looks so cool, and I want to go so
awesome.
bad.
I love it so much.
I can't wait.
They had this thing at D23 that was like a table of like a bunch of samples. Almost like you're at like Lowe's or Home Depot and are like looking at paint samples and stuff, but it was all Haunted Mansion. It was like, okay, screenshot, using this for inspiration for my apartment. Let's talk about more attractions though. God, there are so many.
As to what islands this boat is visiting. You keep doing your thing.
Well, we're talking about Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run with the new enhancement of it's getting another mode. Finally,
kind of overdue at this point. You got to pull people away from Rise.
Mm-hmm. We don't know when this is coming out. It is going to come out though around The Mandalorian and Grogu, and so probably in 2026. But that's right, folks. We are getting a Mandalorian and Grogu mode for Smuggler's Run. So overdue for this to get new modes. I understand that it being more game-like, it's kind of harder to do. God, I'm so excited though that this is just getting another mode. It will actually give me a reason to ride Smuggler's Run again. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Great call. It's also kind of wild seeing a concept art of Mando outside of the
Millennium Falcon. I guess they're gonna. I mean, I guess based on the way that they've told the story so far, Hondo would still be in possession of the Falcon at this point, so it might still make sense with that animatronic. Like, it's just gonna have to tell a different story.
I mean, you can just it can very much just be you're going on a run. And you end up here where this stuff's happening. So,
I suppose. But my question for you, the current Smuggler's Run has a hidden Chewbacca mode. You aware of this?
Yes, I am. I love it.
I want to do it at some point, but I need an actual crew to go in that plans to do it, and I've never done that before.
Yeah, I've never gotten to see it for myself because I haven't had
When we go, we're going to make sure we have a crew full of people that know what they're doing. Like, we're no joking around here.
Yeah, we're getting a team of 6 together, and we are
1,000%. I will even be an engineer. I don't care as long as we get Chewbacca mode. Will there be a hidden character mode for this, and will it be different than Chewbacca? Because I know who I want it to be.
Who do you want it to be?
I want it to be IG-11.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be interesting. My first thought is Bo-Katan. Just because
Bo makes a lot of sense too.
Bo makes sense, and Bo also already has like history to Hondo, so both being from Clone Wars, like it could work. But we'll see. I'm excited for this to get a new thing next year. Mitch, are you ready for our annual tradition for D23 of being jealous for the parks overseas?
Yeah, we must. We already talked about Paris.
Yeah, but now we're going to talk about Shanghai and Hong Kong.
I'm itching to get to Paris. Asia's a little further.
We're getting not one, but 2 Spider-Man rides. And none of them are in the U.S.
Both look better than web slingers.
Oh, yeah. We are getting a proper roller coaster out of Shanghai that looks
like a launch coaster.
So cool. Yeah, proper. What they gave kind of the general story of this. I forget exactly what it was, but it's Avengers Campus. Peter's doing his Peter thing. But what's really interesting to me is Hong Kong's being a drop ride.
Drop tower, yeah.
Yeah. But the concept art is Doc Ock.
That's okay.
How? I need to know how this works.
We'll find out.
Is it Alfred Molina?
Never.
No.
It'll be a shadow the whole time.
Nah, no way. I will also just throw out there, I love Hong Kong's like theming for the Avengers stuff of it all being around the Stark Expo.
Yeah.
The Stark Expo is one of those things that it's like, man, I wish that like the MCU was around for longer and we got to see stuff like the Stark Expo with a bunch of different heroes at it in MCU stuff. Like, say love you.
Next time, baby.
Coming down to some of our last announcements, folks. Thank you for bearing with us if you've been listening. All right. We're talking about Avengers Campus.
It's happening. We got a name.
I went into this being like, okay, they had one job for me. All they had to do was give me a release date for whatever this Quinjet ride was.
The quadruple A Quinjet ride.
They did not give us a release date for this ride. But they still blew my mind.
Shovel ground for this ride or no?
They have not begun construction on this ride yet. And honestly, after what has been announced, I am okay with that. It sounds like this ride was in R&D hell a little bit.
Well, also looking at what's coming, like there isn't a lot announced from this for California. Like you've got the Walt animatronic, you've got Avatar, Coco. But you imagine like the lands team would work on Avatar and the rides team would simultaneously work on Avatar and Coco. So that as Avatar wraps up, presumably that's coming first and then they'll move over to Avenger stuff? Or like what are you thinking?
I'd seen for Avengers estimated before Coco.
I mean, Coco work is expected to get underway in 2026.
Yeah, this is 2025, I thought.
You think? Okay. That would be great.
Yeah, they said construction begins next year.
Okay, perfect. So that's good to know.
Yeah. And I would love it if this was... I could see this being... Wait, no. So I don't have that right.
Probably 28, maybe 29. That's a big year.
6, the soonest. Kind of depends on how physically
what the ride is.
Yeah, like
how large it is. Yeah, how much construction there is to put this thing together.
Yeah. Also, if they're going, I don't know if they'll be opening both attractions at the same time or what, but
I wouldn't expect that.
I would say these are probably.
It feels like the second attraction is more in the. Not the R&D phase, but they've like wrapped R&D and now they're starting on design and
I would see this coming out like 2028, maybe. Is what I'm seeing.
I could see this in 28,
Coco 29,
and then
Avatar. Who cares?
Avatar 2030, or maybe even the second attraction at Avengers Campus 2030. It really just comes down to how they prioritize these projects in the park.
Yeah, I think Avatar is kind of weird because.
James Cameron is weird.
Well, yes, but also because it's a whole separate area.
It's a whole land.
We don't even know
I feel like that's gonna. Yeah, that's gonna have like a whole. Yeah, that's true. If it is going into that new, like the Destination Disney stuff, I don't know. Was that what it was called?
I don't remember.
The Disney stuff on the other side of the highway.
I know that, but I don't remember what it was called.
I know, neither do I. But for the audience at home, if it's going to go into that space, there's probably a lot more zoning and bylaws and construction variants and land transfers and all this other stuff.
I don't think Avatar is the priority at the moment.
No, I don't either. I think
it's Avengers Campus. I'm going to show the image. God, the image is cool.
It's so cool.
But yeah, like I said, the one thing I needed from them was a release date, but honestly, I'm fine with this. They're doubling the size of Avengers Campus with this expansion.
And it needs it.
Previously, they only had 2 attractions, a shitty web swingers ride. Actually, it's not shitty.
Yeah.
It's just not great.
Yeah.
And a drop tower that is fantastic and amazing and wonderful. We are finally officially getting Avengers Infinity Defense. Mitch, how do you feel about this name?
I'm down. I think it makes a lot of sense. I do also think it makes sense for this to come out in and around Secret Wars, looking at the movie slate, because you're talking multiverse stuff. So trying to bring all that stuff together around the same time makes a lot of sense from a brand cohesion perspective.
Yeah,
you want those cross promotional synergies.
We gotta look at the ride vehicles as well. And the whole theming of this was they have this tech for them to protect their world and others, but some of this tech was stolen. It turns out it was stolen by King Thanos, who is now using it to jump between worlds and take them over. We will be seeing different locales. We will be seeing stuff like Asgard, Wakanda, and of course the classic New York City. Everything they've shown from this looks dope.
My question for you, Griffin. Do we see Doom?
No. Not at first. I want to show off all the concept art here just because they're all dope.
It's all really cool. This also seems like an attraction with the way that it's being designed that they could potentially not add scenes to, but modify certain scenes with enough R&D. Like, as the experiences change, the experience of the ride, as the world changes, as more of this content releases, they can potentially update this ride, because it does feel like it's going to be more of a, again, very akin to other rides of this ilk. It's going to be a dark ride. It's probably going to have a lot of very large mosaics that it can paint in whichever fashion Imagineering sees fits it.
Frankly, I don't see this changing much. This is giving me the vibes of Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah, I hope so.
Of it's going to be that mixing between, because looking at these images, this one especially that I have up right now of King Thanos, in this destroyed Sanctum Sanctorum, or literally a helicarrier blowing up, or Asgard just in general. These are massive set pieces that require more than just an image on a screen. And I think they understand that. They know that. The reason that this has taken so long has been them wanting to get this right. So I can very much see them being like, no, we aren't going to make this something that works for a ton of different things. We're going to make this specifically work for this one story. And that's that. Because I think it's going to be a good story. I think that is the most important thing for them in all of this. I would tell you this could even be the best multiverse story that Marvel does. Mostly because Marvel has not done great multiverse.
Oh, you didn't like
stories.
Deadpool. Yeah, you also didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine.
No, I love Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just not a multiverse story.
I mean, it kind of is.
I mean, it kind of is, but the focus is just that this universe is dying. We're saving this universe.
It's going to be really cool. If they're moving dirt, I cannot wait until the dirt is finished moving, and I can experience this ideally with a kid that loves Marvel almost as much or more so than I do.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait. The other news we got here though for Avengers Campus is that we're getting a second ride.
Robert Downey Jr. is back.
Robert Downey Jr. is back for Stark Flight Lab. What a random, weird, unexpected announcement.
Yeah.
But I am totally
that was certainly an announcement.
Basically, you are being assigned to help test Stark tech. So you'll be doing it.
Tech.
Yeah. And you'll be testing it with different Avengers. Robert Downey Jr. obviously being the key to all of this, being Tony. But it sounds like they're putting a bunch of different Avengers in it. They said on stage they write it multiple times because you'll be flying with different Avengers. All of the imaging for this makes it look like this claw, grab you, spin you around kind of ride. The way they're talking about it sounds like there's more to this, though.
I mean, I imagine there's going to be an interesting pre-show element to this, similar to what we have with Web Slingers today. But I love the idea of new ride tech coming to the parks. Like that's cool. It's not a coaster. It's not a dark ride. It's something new. Whether or not it's fun remains to be seen, but it's new. It's exciting. It's different. That's really all I'd hope for. This was honestly the biggest surprise of the day for me. And I know there's other things that we're very excited about, but this is the one that caught me off guard of like, oh, like this looks different. This is cool.
Yeah, I am very interested. I like also that this is a 2-person ride setup. We don't have.
I don't love that because we're going to be 3 people in December, and it'd be like, I
got bad news for you, Mitch. Odd numbered parties are always awkward when it comes to Disney.
So you're going to be our 4th, is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by this ride, though. Obviously we don't know a ton about it, but I want to know more. I can't wait for this stuff to open up. Like,
again, we're looking end of the decade at the earliest for something like this, with Infinity Defense likely being the next major attraction that'll open in California.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I am scheduling. I would schedule a trip to be there for it opening day. Like, I want to be there for these things. Like,
this is one of those things, like looking at what they've announced for the parks, I can see going to World fairly soon because there seems like there's a lot that's going to come over the next little while. Plus, it's an easier park for me to get to with it being Florida, being East Coast. California, I'm waiting at least until the Avengers stuff and the Coco stuff is open before I start planning a trip.
Yeah, I think
Avatar, take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's time, Mitch, to talk about the best news of the night.
Oh boy.
News that honestly I did not see coming after they announced the car stuff.
I mean, I did. I was a little like the car stuff, having thinking, oh, okay, so that's what they're using that space for.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, that's not what it is. Let me set the scene for you here with the actual.
Oh, okay, here we go.
With the actual announcements. They did the thing, right, of like Josh D'Amaro is winding things down and then gets interrupted. Classic stuff. He gets interrupted by the sound of hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Then the magic mirror comes on to introduce Rita Ora to the stage to sing a rendition of "Remember Me,"
which definitely tracks with what they're going to talk about next, which is.
So I'm sitting there freaking the fuck out. I'm like, they're gonna do it. They're finally gonna give it to us. They're giving us Villains Land. They're giving us the Villains Kingdom. They're giving us Villains Land. Finally. I love this, and also, this is a very specific reference to all of my Kingdom Keepers fans. I'm sorry, we lost. The villains are taking over.
I understood that reference.
What a concept art. What a pitch. Obviously, this is a ways out. They're breaking dirt, but it's still a ways out. I would say at soonest, like
a decade.
Like at soonest, I'm like 2029, 2030. Like at soonest.
Yeah, I would say no earlier than that. Assuming the Cars stuff is further into production, which it looks like it is. Mm-hmm. At least the first attraction in the re-theme of the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island. This is a little ways off.
Yeah, I love this vibe.
This is what you trip a plan around. Did I just say trip a plan around?
You very much just did.
I'm really sleep deprived and I'm getting over a cold. You're lucky I'm vertical right now.
If there's anything to get you vertical, it would be the parks.
In more ways than one.
I'm concerned. No, I love this. I love this concept art. Obviously, this looks like it can be massive. We have zero details other than this concept art. Nothing. Nada. And I am speculating out the wazoo already.
It will change wildly between what we are seeing here and what they announce in 3 years at D23 as the first attraction that they're breaking ground on in 2028.
We got to understand, for a new land, like a lot of these lands that they've showed off are like, oh, here's 2 attractions for this. Looking here, we obviously see a roller coaster in the concept art here. seemingly to be based around Maleficent. And also, I'm
Which is
pretty sure this roller coaster goes underwater based off of this concept art.
Or at least into a lagoon of some sort.
Also, we got the dragon, another dragon to catch fire in the parks.
But it is such a missed opportunity if this is themed after the Evil Queen or Maleficent. I mean, because you have Yzma and Kronk, and it's right there.
Look, I get it.
Pull the lever, and there's the friggin' roller coaster in the movie.
But you're telling me we're getting a Maleficent dragon coaster, and I am here for that.
That is kind of dope.
Especially with like the vibe of her thorns, like taking over that left side of the image there. Mm-hmm. All of it's super interesting. I can't really personally get a bead on what some of this other stuff is. But I'm definitely interested. Like we see like waterfalls in the background, so potentially Ursula maybe. Really anything can happen from this. And I think that's kind of the vibe that they want from this. I can see them doing so much here. We've talked a lot, at least not on the show, but personally, I know I've talked a lot about Epic Universe. With Epic Universe, the thing I'm most excited for is the...
How to Train Your Dragon.
Surprisingly, no. It is Dark Universe.
Monsterland.
Yeah. Now that
Dark
said,
Universe starring Tom Cruise.
That is only because I know more about Dark Universe than How to Train Your Dragon.
You should know more about How to Train Your Dragon.
No,
those movies
about the land, about the actual physical lands that are showing up.
Yeah.
Those movies are some of my favorite movies ever.
I think there's a coaster. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I wonder how much of this they try to fast track to pull attention away from Epic Universe.
Yeah,
does this get the Avengers Campus treatment of it comes out with a dining location and an attraction, and the rest is going to come later? Well, I could very much see them going that route.
Obviously, concept art here. Looking at this, I'm like, I see space for another attraction. I see space for a full sit-down restaurant.
I want space for a nighttime show.
I think a nighttime show is a shoo-in in here. But I don't think it is a traditional nighttime show. I think it is more of a... You know how, like, during the day they have the show at the castle?
Yeah.
I feel like it's something like that. But around villains.
I would honestly be down for anything show-wise here. Even if it's a new show building. Like, you could do Disney Villain Musical Theater, and we'd all be ecstatic.
We would be so there. They honestly should do that.
A villainous cabaret. Disney, hire me. Come on.
Okay.
Ideas.
Not that I always am able to bring it back to it, but they have this. Let me bring up the name. Let me look up the exact name of this.
While you do that, I'll talk about the most slept-on announcement of D23, and that's the fact that they're developing The Greatest Showman into a proper Broadway musical.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I have the name of it. So they had this show over in Universal, and it's called Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review.
Oh, son of a fuck. Which I'm sure they'll bring back for Beetlejuice.
All I'm saying is, you got the opportunity here to do a Disney Parks version.
Oogie Boogie's review.
Yeah. I would love to see like Oogie Boogie representation here. My pie in the sky dream would be we actually get representation for Chernobog. Because I think Disney World is one of the few places that Chernobog is recognized as a character. Chernobog? The Night at Bald Mountain from Fantasia. Evil devil dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I guarantee you know who this guy is.
No, I do.
Like, Phantasmic is one of the only places that this character is used. So I would love to see him get used again here. But ultimately, like, the sky is the limit with this. It makes us weirdos that love the Disney villains so happy. And yes, I know, it is weird for us to love villains, but...
It's just a different vibe. And it will be interesting to see how they integrate this into a family-friendly park, because adults, millennials specifically, have an affinity for a lot of these villainous characters. You look at the great villains of the 90s Disney films, Scar, Hook. No, Hook was the 50s. Who am I thinking? Jafar.
Hades?
Hades.
I think I got that time
Although, fuck James Wood.
that character's gone so beyond him at this point.
Ursula, right? Like, there's so many great, iconic, millennial Disney villains, quote unquote, that it does feel like this is catering to a particular Disney audience. And I'll be curious to see what experiences they have that draw kids in, because ultimately this is going to be a villain-themed land, but the villains lose, and they need to lose in order for kids to enjoy this.
See, space. I don't know if they lose here. I think this is where the villains win.
I think they have to.
Well, that's the whole vibe of this area. This is where the villains win.
I know.
And like there is that level of kid friendly.
I don't know how they sell that to kids. That's my only concern. I don't know how you sell that to kids.
I mean, I think you do it well enough with the theming itself of like, oh man, everything is getting darker. Oh man, that's getting creepier. Oh.
Also, how do you make everything darker in the 100% humidity, 110 degree Florida sun in the middle of August?
The same way they make you feel like you're on an entirely different planet in Animal Kingdom.
But it's time of day. Like, it's going to be...
Things can physically be darker.
They make that work. Like, I know. It'll be interesting to see how they use, like, perspective and certain paint tones and color palettes to make it seem like it's shitty. Maybe it's oriented in such a way that a lot of these buildings and peaks and spires are strategically located based on where the sun is going to be certain times of the year. Like, that would be really neat.
Yeah, you can tell here, like, it almost looks like a meteor crashed in the middle of this area, and like all of this jagged rock comes up around it.
This area is going to look really cool in the middle of a crazy sudden rainstorm in Florida. That's to be certain.
Yeah. Like, and what's interesting about this is, like, looks like the entrances are probably going to be roughly around Big Thunder Mountain, and then probably over in New Fantasyland.
Yeah, up and behind Be Our Guest, or what else is back there? Gaston's.
Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting of going from the princess area to this. You've
got Gaston in there. You've got the castle. I think there's the way that they will force perspective there, the way that they do with entering Galaxy's Edge and Hollywood Studios. I have zero doubts that it'll feel like its own distinct area of the park.
Oh, absolutely. I just love that.
I worry about everyone trying to rush to Villain's Land to ride the Maleficent coaster. Like that, it's already a slog to get back there for Seven Dwarves. Or you're trying to drop that
again. It's going to virtual queue.
Be tough. I'm talking 20 years from now, not at opening.
Yeah, at opening
when it's still a 120-minute wait for that, and an 80-minute wait for Mine Train.
At opening, I would not be surprised honestly with this back area if they do something similar to what Universal did with Nintendo Land when it opened.
You need a reservation for the specific area of the park.
Yeah.
They didn't do that with Galaxy's Edge though.
Do a virtual queue in the morning or something. Like I don't know how they're. Well, they also never handled something like that. Like Universal's.
Oh yeah, they had COVID to deal with.
Yeah, Universal's is unique because there is no other. There's only one entrance and exit from the Nintendo area.
Yeah.
This obviously will have multiple.
Yeah.
I'm
honestly, I think with everything else that's going on in the park, and assuming this is after Cars, it's already after Tiana's, it's after Tron, presumably eliminates its virtual queue. You've got Space Mountain, you've got Mine Train, you've got Big Thunder, you've got Haunted Mansion, Pirates. The list goes on and on. Like, there are attractions to pull people away from this new land, especially if there isn't that much to do there right away.
You want a hot take? I don't think Tron ever gets rid of its virtual queue.
I think it has to.
Like, just over in that space, I can't see them getting rid of that virtual queue anytime soon. Not for another decade.
I think they get rid of that virtual queue when they have the Cars and Maleficent virtual queues up.
Fair. Like, yeah, obviously they need the space, and like, it seems like,
because we would have said the same thing. We would have said the same thing about Mine Train if they had virtual queues when that opened, right? That it's never going away, but it would have. It would have when.
I guess we said the same thing about Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't have a virtual queue,
exactly.
But honestly, it would benefit from one sometimes.
It would, but
Just with how much that's me just complaining about how much that ride breaks down.
My complaints are all with just the virtual queue process in general. You don't go to a theme park and have to plan your day out at 6 a.m. before you go to the park. Like, that's just, fuck that.
Yeah, well, so you can take that.
I'm in the park. I want to ride the attraction in the park. I'm here and I've paid my money, and you're telling me that I can't ride this thing because I wasn't aware that I had to log on at 6 a.m. to book a spot on this ride? No, fuck that. Virtual queues, I understand it from a crowd control perspective. Don't like the concept of it. I don't like what it does to the theme park experience as a whole.
Yeah, virtual queue is honestly an entire another conversation we should have at some point. Yeah. Because I see the positives and negatives. And bringing it back to Villain Land, though. Yeah. Like, the thing I hope about more than anything is that they're recognizing that this is a more mature land. And it seems like they're doing it. Because Magic Kingdom especially needs a couple more mature attractions. And it looks like this roller coaster, at least, could be one of those.
Yeah, I could see this being, this would probably, well, no, I guess technically second. This would be probably the first launch coaster in Disney that was built this millennium. I don't know when Rock and Roller Coaster opened, but
because I mean, there's Rock and Roller Coaster, there's Tron.
Oh yeah, Tron's technically at launch too. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be something. I hope it's something unique. Like maybe it is a wing coaster.
Slinky Dog.
If it's Maleficent themed.
Slinky Dog is technically a launch coaster. Yeah,
it's true too. There's so many launches. Give us something unique with it. A wing coaster could be cool if it's themed after Maleficent as a dragon. Like, we'll see what happens.
Obviously, we don't know. The future's awesome.
We'll know more eventually. We're excited. I hope you're excited. Let us know what you're excited for in the comments if you're on YouTube. But Griffin, if they're not on YouTube, where can they go to give us said feedback?
Well, as a matter of fact, that folks can follow us everywhere at D+Us, over on the Twitters, over on the TikToks. I'm sure we're going to be breaking out so much of this episode for TikTok.
There's going to be so many TikToks. I said so many stupid things.
So did I.
I'm really mixed two words up in a sentence?
Oh, no, but I am cutting that out. I'm not going to put that up on TikTok.
I figured
I'm just going to send that to you.
No, you're not. You're going to put that on TikTok and we're all going to laugh at it.
Yeah, I am very excited for a bunch of stuff coming. Obviously, we'll talk all about it when more information gets announced and whatnot. But yeah, keep an eye out on our socials for bits, fun goofs, gabs. But also keep an eye out on this show. We have a weekly version and the normal version. The weekly show is on hiatus until we find another thing to watch.
It'll be Agatha all along.
Yeah, that's so far away.
In like a month.
It's
like a month away, Griffin.
Time is a flat circle. Yeah, that's right. Wait, no, I have a new one. Time is a weird soup.
Time is weird soup.
Thank you, Critical Role. Yeah, go check out our other stuff. Go check out our normal show. We just put up an episode all about Deadpool and Wolverine, but we have so many other episodes about other various things, whether it's parks, movies, TV shows, eventually video games. We got a bunch of stuff coming, so keep an eye out on that. We will see y'all in the next episode, but until then, have a magical day.